Oh, hello, this is Tak Chung from Walk with Tak. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and share. My thin eye is definitely getting better, but I probably should have my sunglasses on for a couple more days until it is more presentable. I have a friend, I will call him Mr. Lee for the purpose of this video. One year he invited our family to his house for dinner. It was a Thanksgiving dinner, and Mr. Lee does not like turkey. However, he loves cranberry. During that dinner, Mr. Lee made 5 different dishes, all with cranberry in it. The dish that really stands out for me is a cranberry shrimp with coconut. I am also a great fan of cranberry, and also I love shrimp, so this dish just fits my taste perfectly. Since Thanksgiving is coming around very quickly, I'm going to make this dish and show you how it is done. Okay, let's get into the kitchen and get started. I'm going to use a large raw shrimp that has been peeled, deveined, and tailed off. Today, there are no better meat that are frozen to be used than shrimp, because the quality of shrimp is excellent, and they usually freeze individually by a method known as flash freezing. In fact, from my experiences, that the frozen shrimp sometimes actually better than fresh shrimp. So I put the shrimp in a colander and run some water to thaw them out, and it takes only about probably 10 minutes to have it thawed out. So having shrimp today is really convenient. The reason I put it in a colander because now I can use it to dry the shrimp by shake off any fluid that might be on the shrimp. Now next I'm going to coat the shrimp with cornstarch. I want the shrimp to have a slight breading. For cranberry, I'm going to use a cranberry raisin. You can actually also use canned cranberry sauce if you want to, but the cranberry raisin seems to work very well for me. And then I'm using some coconut flakes. These coconut flakes are slightly sweetened. For the green bean, I'm going to use some French green beans. I prefer French green bean better than the regular green bean. They are easier to cook because they are a little bit not as thick as the regular green bean. This green bean that I purchased comes in a 2-pound bag. When I took the green bean out of the bag, they are a little bit too long for the purpose of my intended use. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to cut the green bean in half, and then I will store them in a plastic container. And when I store it in such a way, the green bean has excellent shelf life, and they usually can last in the refrigerator for up to about 10 days. The next ingredient I'm going to use in this dish is some red onion. As you can see that I score the red onions first of all vertically across the onion, and then I turn it around and then I cut it horizontally. As you can see that it falls into chunks really easily. Since I have prepped in advance, so it will only take me a few minutes to gather everything. Next, I'm going to make the sauce. I'm going to start out with some soy sauce. I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of soy sauce. I'm then going to add some sesame oil, and I'm going to use about 1/4 tablespoon of sesame oil. I'm then going to add about half tablespoon of vinegar. I use distilled vinegar. I like to have the sesame oil and the vinegar in making this sauce because they add to the complex flavor of the sauce. And next, I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of sugar. Using my flavor chasing approach, I frequently make changes to this basic ingredients that I add to in making the sauce. The next item is important, that is cornstarch. I add about half tablespoon of cornstarch. This will be used to thicken the sauce to create a gravy-like texture. By varying the amount of cornstarch that you add to the sauce, you can change the consistency of the sauce. For here, for example, I'm going to add a little bit more water to this sauce mixture so that the cornstarch will be in the kind of consistency that I am looking for. Now, this part quite often requires some experience. After you do it for a while, you know how much cornstarch that you want to add. So after everything is well mixed, now we are ready to cook. I'm going to use my Cucina 14-inch stainless steel wok. I really like this wok because it is light and also it is very easy to clean. And it cooks well in almost any circumstances that I have tried. So I'm going to add about 2 tablespoons of canola oil to kind of just barely cover the bottom of the wok. I then spot season the wok, and if you are unfamiliar with this method, you can take a look at this video. Next, I'm going to add the shrimp to the wok. After the oil is heated up, I'm going to use a pair of tongs. Now, what I'm doing here is that I'm actually is going to do a shallow frying of the shrimp. So I'm going to lay out the shrimp one by one on the surface of the wok. So that in this case, one side will be fried first, and then I will turn it around to fry the other side. This will give the shrimp a light coating of breading, as you can see in here. I find that coating the shrimp with cornstarch also make the shrimps have better texture, and the shrimp tend to be more moist and tender. I think the cornstarch basically protects the shrimp from the heat of the oil so that it will not turn dry. The tongue is great for this purpose in cooking the shrimp because it gives you much better control in moving the shrimp around than using a wok spatula. So I highly recommend you to get a pair of tongs like the one I have. Make sure you get one with a long handle so that you can keep your hand away from the heat coming from the wok. The shrimp cook very quickly, usually in about a minute, and then I'm going to remove the shrimp from the wok. I'm going to set it aside and mix it with the other later. And you know, this way will allow me to have full control of the texture of the shrimp. So next, I'm going to add the green bean to the wok. I'm not going to put any more oil, and there's a reason behind that, because if I use a minimum amount of oil, the heat from the wok will char the green bean, and that will give the green bean better flavor. As you can see, if you look at the green bean closely right now, you can see that part of the green bean will look like they are slightly charred. I add the onion right after I add the green bean. Again, you can see that the onion start to get char as well, but the onion actually is going to caramelize because it contains sugar. So at this point I have switched from the tongs to my spatula because that is more efficient. By now, based on the appearance of the green bean, I know they are almost done. So next I add the cranberry followed by adding the coconut to the wok. I mix everything quickly. At this point the green bean is almost done. So just a few more stir, the dish is ready. If you're using a gas stove, you can actually turn off the stove. For me, that I use an electric range because even I turn off the heat of the electric range, it's still going to be very hot. So I'm going to move the wok to a different location before I add the sauce. Before you add the cornstarch, make sure you stir it thoroughly because the cornstarch tend to settle at the bottom of the suspension. As soon as you add the cornstarch, you should stir the content immediately. As you can tell, it thickens rapidly. So to thin it down, I will add a little bit water at a time. This turned out to be a great strategy to control the consistency of the sauce that you want. So I decided that it's still a little bit too thick for me, so I add a little bit more water. And quick stirring, you can see that the gravy have achieved the consistency that you most likely like to have. So the next step is to mix the shrimp together with remaining of the items in the wok. The total cook time of this dish is fast. It takes only about a little bit more than 5 minutes. As you can tell, making this dish is really simple and straightforward. Because it is based on a couple of my basic templates. The first template is the chicken stir-fry template, and the second template is the vegetable stir-fry template. I can easily create this dish by using my fast cooking system, and the word fast is the acronym for flavor chasing, advanced prepping, stir-frying, and template-based cooking. Once you become familiar and accustomed to use the fast cooking system, create variations through modifications and adjustments is relatively simple. The end result is that by having just a limited number of templates, you can create a large repertoire of dishes. In my future video, I will continue to provide examples of the application of the fast cooking system. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and share. See you next time.